Hi everyone, it's Gwen. Because we're coming up to Samhain, I decided to do a reading using a different kind of deck. A deck that would, help me break out of my usual habits of using the Thoth Tarot, patterns of reading. And I thought maybe access a different side of my brain or access a kind of intuition that I don't usually use. So what I decided to read with is an oracle deck, the Book of the Dead by Scylla Conway. It's an absolutely beautiful deck. You can see all the images online, I think on her website. There is a full unboxing and the artwork is absolutely amazing. The only caveat here is that, as with any artwork, when you see a picture of it, it doesn't do it justice. It's not what it feels like when you're standing there, like when you're standing in a gallery looking at a painting. It's wow. And when you see a picture of it, you think, okay, I know what's in the picture now. I know this is a picture of this place, but it doesn't really have the same kind of presence. So bearing that in mind, what I asked from the other side was just for a message for us that I was hoping would be quite clear because, we're coming up to Samhain. Of course, you can ask these messages anytime, but I thought maybe there might be a stronger message that even I could understand at this time of year. So I drew 3 cards from the Book of the Dead. The first one is called The Shining Tutors, and this is tutors as in teacher, not as in the English monarchs. The tutors. And so the first thing I thought of, the idea of this deck is that from near-death experiences and probably other kind of intuitive meditations, there is the idea that there's kind of a path that you follow once you travel to the other side. There are some regular things that happen, and one of them is that these teachers come to you and you can ask them anything. They explain what all happened. You can sort of look back at your life and say, what was all that about? And they will explain, as well as the nature of the universe and anything else that you want to ask. So I was sitting looking at this card, and I just thought it's Keter, this shining light at the top. So, here we are in the Tree of Life, but it's a slightly different kind of Tree of Life, as we'll see in the next card. So we have this beautiful Keter shining on this angel-like being. And what it reminded me of is the idea that if you have the sun, you have the sun and you have sunlight. And here on Earth, we can see sunlight. You can see the rays of the sun. And those rays of the sun are the sun, but they're also not the sun. They're emanations, which is how the Sephiroth are usually described, as emanating. And so you can also think of that in terms of everything else that's here on Earth, like us. We are emanations of the divine. We're not the divine, but we are kind of the divine because we're emanations of the divine. So that's what I thought when I saw this. And these angels are, this is supposed to be a stage of when you're on the other side, but they can also be here. I think a lot of people feel that there are messengers here, messengers from a different dimension. The next card I drew was called The Reality of Form. And the first thing I saw when I saw this was this red circle. And I thought, oh, Gevura. And then I thought, oh, Chesed. And if you look at the Tree of Life, Gevura and Chesed are right next to each other. There's another version of the Tree of Life. We're used to using this one, but there's another version. It's not called the Tree of Life, but it's a representation of the Sephiroth and as concentric circles. And so starting at the outside would be Keter on the outside, and then you move in until we are in the middle. And if you do that, this is the order of colors. You get Gevura, which is ruled by Mars, and then Chesed, which is blue around that. And on the inside, as you go in from Gevura, you have Tiferet, which is yellow, and then all the others, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malkuth. So all those are in the middle. But what we're really looking at here, I think, is the interaction between Gevura, which is about limitations, maybe the limitations of form, the limitations of our bodies here, our understanding here, Gevura, and Chesed all around the outside, which is just this beautiful kind of kind of like a wave, but it is very much like the loving kindness and generosity and the protection of Chesed. And Gevurah is also protective in a different kind of way, but just the way that this is designed, it makes me think about the interaction between the two, between loving kindness and maybe having had enough loving kindness, it's time to limit that, or maybe the limitation in form. And Gevurah is on the pillar of form. Chesed is on the pillar of force. So you are talking about giving things form. So the reality of form, then we're thinking about, well, what are we really in relation to the first card? What are we really? We're not solid things. We're not independent things. We're all interactive things, and we're not disconnected from the top. And our third card is called Freedom. And this is, again, just absolutely stunning work of art. And there are just so many colors. All the colors are here. This beautiful, luminous being, spiritual being, which looks like, to me, it just reminds me of Keter. That's what I think of. It really feel like I'm channeling Keter when I look at this card. And so the freedom, maybe this freedom comes from the realization that we're not alone down here. It's, part of our existence down here to feel alone and separate from divinity. I think this is why people have some of the problems that we have. We all feel like we're individuals and we're alone in our bodies, separated from each other, but we're not really. We're not separate from each other. We're certainly not separated from divinity. And when we realize that, we become free. We become free from, being trapped in all these misunderstandings, and we can act from a better place down here. So I hope that was interesting. Samhain blessings, and I'll see you in the next video.